So I've lured everybody here with the W word, and that is workshop, okay? So what I want to tell you, first of all, like this is a little bit different. We're going to be a bit innovative with this session. So if you're used to a really good presentation followed by a panel session of glorious speakers, we're not going to do that today. Okay? So we're going to have really good presentations followed by your active involvement. So I don't know if you noticed, we've rearranged the tables a little bit. We're going to have some speakers come up and present on the topic. And those of you that have attended the sessions already, you've heard maybe a common theme during the keynote session is all of this talk about technology. We're really talking about some wonderful things, but oftentimes we're forgetting about the customer. We're forgetting about the people. We're missing step with our projects when it deals with the human factors. So this session is really about this. So there's some great speakers that are going to talk about what they're doing in their own companies, and then we're going to get together for about 30 minutes and then brainstorm this topic. So I think I got to get my clicker working here. There we go. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to introduce you to a couple more of new terms for the industry, and there's a reason why I want to talk about this. So digitization and digitalization. Okay, digitization, what it is this is the conversion of items that were primarily analog to digital, or conversion of a piece of paper where an operator may have been writing down a report and converting this to something digital, like perhaps capturing this on an iPad, but you don't necessarily change what your customer, your operator, your maintenance person will do. Digitalization, on the other hand, is a whole lot more complex and involves changing the way that people work. So as you're on the internet and you're hearing presentations from your suppliers and you're out in industry, you may start to see these terms more. Now, the point of this session is really to focus on the digitalization. So it's the application of the technology, and when you're thinking about things like cutting the inspections on maintenance and pieces of equipment and getting the maintenance people to buy in to make this change, that's a lot. There's a lot that goes to it. So this session is going to deal specifically with that. So what we find is there's a lot of reasons to focus on both the people and the process. So we have an assessment strategy. I'll just talk briefly about this. Ultimately, when you're looking at any major project, or maybe it's a small project, maybe you're piloting technology, we really believe that there's some things that are missing in most of the projects today. And that's things such as addressing company culture, or knowledge and how people share information, or looking at the capability and competency, and whether or not your training program involves active involvement of your participants early on, workforce performance and how you're bringing people on board. These are all factors that oftentimes they get missed. And I guess what we say here is that those are the pillars, and then the foundation ultimately is the agility, the performance measures, the technology governance, and a process to be able to look at new technologies. So we've developed a methodology, and we find that there are some gaps in industry in these areas. So how are we going to do this? So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, which means my time is just about up. And then you're going to hear from Mike Carroll. And then Mike's going to talk about Georgia Pacific and what they're doing in this particular topic, followed by Carrie and Brent. So each are going to give about 10 to 12-minute talk on what they're doing in their respective organizations. And then we're going to have a 30-minute breakout. And this is where the active participation comes in. This is where you're going to get together, and Carrie and Brent and Mike are going to lead you through a discussion and brainstorm these ideas so ultimately you can get best practices. And then finally 5 minutes wrap up and next steps. So some of the ideas that we're looking at here is, so the point of this, first of all, is this is about you. This is about what you're learning. This is about what Carrie and Brent and Mike are learning. And ultimately, we want to give you something that you can take back to your organizations, or you can share this with your sales team if you're sharing projects. So we write this up. We're going to take the flip charts at the very end. We're going to compile this into a report. So as you're with Carrie and Brent and Mike, these are some examples of some things to start to think about. So what is different now, and how are you addressing this through change leadership? How are you preparing your next generation workforce? Is there anything different about their learning styles that's different from the way you onboarded in your company? Where's your customer in your transformation journey? And do you even incorporate the customer in your requirements and rollout? How does your belief about company culture ultimately decide your fate? Or is company culture actually masking some other problems with your technology plans? And ultimately, with technology change and data science becoming more prevalent, how are roles actually changing in your facilities? So, this is the way that it works. I'm going to invite the speakers up next. So ultimately, once the speakers are done, you're going to pick a table which closely represents the topic of interest, because each Carrie, Brent, and Mike, they're talking about organizational factors that are just a little bit different. You can use notepads, brainstorm ideas. This is all about your contribution as well. And Carrie and Brent and Mike are going to use the flip charts to collect the information, and then they're going to present this back to the team. And then ultimately, what I do want to do is when you get to your table, I'm going to make sure that there's a card there. So if you could leave your email address, I'll have an email address to send the final report from this workshop out to you. And that's it.